In the pages of the Bible, we discover the remarkable story of a God whose love knows no bounds. God has shown his unwavering commitment to his people, displaying a jealousy that stems from his deep desire for a meaningful relationship. The concept of God's jealousy can be challenging to grasp, but is rooted in a deep sense of love and commitment. When we say that God is jealous, we are not referring to a petty or selfish jealousy like we may experience as humans. Instead, it's about God's passionate desire for a relationship with us, his creation. Just as a devoted partner desires loyalty in a relationship, God seeks our undivided love and devotion. Throughout the Bible, we see examples of God's jealousy in action. In the Old Testament, God's jealousy is often depicted in his reaction to the Israelites' worship of idols or turning away from him. He desires their wholehearted love and obedience, and when they stray, he responds with discipline and correction, not out of spite, but out of a longing for them to return to him and experience the abundant life he offers. This illustrates the depth of God's love for his people and his desire for an intimate, exclusive relationship with them. Understanding God's jealousy can be empowering and inspirational for believers. It reminds us of the immense value and significance of our relationship with God. Just as he passionately pursues us, we are invited to respond with wholehearted devotion and love. God's jealousy challenges us to prioritize him above all else, knowing that in his presence we find fulfillment, purpose, and everlasting joy. It's a beautiful reminder that we are deeply loved and cherished by God, who desires nothing less than our complete and authentic devotion. God's jealousy is rooted in his perfect love and righteousness. Unlike human jealousy, which can be tainted by selfishness, God's jealousy is a reflection of his passionate desire for a deep, exclusive relationship with his creation. God's jealousy is motivated by his longing for his people to experience the fullness of his love and blessings, free from the distractions and temptations that could lead them away from him. It's an expression of his unwavering commitment to our well-being and spiritual growth, guiding us towards path of righteousness and abundant life. In Exodus chapter 32, after God miraculously delivered the Israelites from slavery in Egypt, they fashioned a golden calf to worship while Moses was receiving the 10 Commandments on Mount Sinai. This act of idolatry provoked God's jealousy, and he became angry with his people for turning away from him to worship a lifeless statue. Despite their disobedience, God's jealousy also demonstrated his unwavering love for his chosen people. He disciplined them, but forgave them and continued to guide them on their journey to the promised land, showing his desire for a faithful relationship with them. Another powerful display of God's jealousy is seen in 1 Kings chapter 18, when the prophet Elijah confronted the prophet of Baal on Mount Carmel. The people of Israel had turned to worshipping the false god Baal, forsaking their covenant with the one true God. Elijah's challenge to the prophet of Baal culminated in a dramatic showdown where God's power was unmistakably revealed. Fire fell from heaven, consuming Elijah's sacrifice and demonstrating God's supremacy over all other gods. Through this event, God showed his jealousy for his people's devotion and reminded them of his unmatched power and love. 3 ways God shows his jealousy includes: God isolates his chosen ones. Just as a parent may safeguard their child from harm, God isolates his chosen ones from distractions and temptations that could lead them astray from the purpose he has ordained for their lives. In doing so, he ensures they stay focused on his divine plan and experience the fullness of his blessings. In the Bible, we see examples of God isolating his chosen ones to protect them and guide them on their journey. From the story of Noah building the ark to preserve humanity amidst the flood waters, to Moses leading the Israelites out of Egypt and into the promised land, God separates his chosen ones from the influences of the world to fulfill his purposes through them. Similarly, in our own lives, God may isolate us from certain people, situations, or distractions to keep us aligned with his mission and to empower us to walk in his ways. God's isolation is not about punishment, but about protection and preparation. It's a reminder that amidst the noise and chaos of the world, God is orchestrating our steps and leading us towards a greater destiny. As we surrender to his leading and trust in his plan, we can rest assured that his jealous love will guide us safely to the fulfillment of his mission for our lives. In the Bible, we encounter passages where God emphasizes his desire for his people to prioritize him above all else. In Matthew chapter 10 verse 37, Christ says, "Anyone who loves their father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. Anyone who loves their son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me." This verse is part of Christ's teachings on the cost of discipleship, emphasizing the radical commitment required to follow him. God's jealousy is a reflection of his longing for a deep, intimate connection with us, surpassing any other earthly bond. When God asks us to love him above all else, it's an invitation to recognize his supreme authority and goodness in our lives. Our love for God isn't a competition with our love for our family or friends, but rather a recognition of his unmatched love and sovereignty. By placing God at the center of our affections, we align ourselves with His divine will and open ourselves to the abundant blessings He desires to pour out upon us. God removes certain people from the lives of His chosen ones to shield them from being led astray. This divine intervention is an expression of God's unwavering commitment to guide and protect His beloved children. In the Bible, we witness instances where God separates His chosen ones from harmful influences or relationships. From Joseph being separated from his brothers to protect him from their jealousy, to God leading the Israelites away from idolatrous nations, these narratives illustrate God's proactive role in preserving His people's spiritual well-being. By removing certain individuals or situations from their lives, God ensures His chosen ones remain steadfast in their faith and aligned with His divine purpose. Understanding God's protective removal of certain people can be profoundly inspirational. It reminds us of the depth of God's care for His chosen ones and His relentless pursuit of their spiritual growth and flourishing. When God intervenes to shield us from harmful influences, is a testament to His faithful love and sovereignty over our lives. The difference between God's jealousy and human jealousy lies in their motivations and expressions. When we think of jealousy among humans, it often carries negative connotations of insecurity, possessiveness, and a desire to control or dominate. Human jealousy can stem from feelings of inadequacy or fear of loss, leading to actions that are often destructive or harmful to relationships. It's a selfish emotion driven by personal desires and insecurities, often causing strife and discord. Understanding God's jealousy reminds us that we are deeply cherished and valued by the Creator of the universe. God's jealousy isn't about controlling us, but about leading us into a life of purpose, fulfillment, and joy. When we prioritize our relationship with God above all else, we tap into a wellspring of divine love and grace that empowers us to live with courage, faith, and compassion. As we reflect on these stories, let us be reminded of the depth of God's love for each of us. His jealousy isn't born of insecurity or selfishness, but springs from a desire for our well-being and spiritual fulfillment. May we respond to His love with hearts full of gratitude and devotion, knowing that we are cherished beyond measure by the one true God who desires nothing less than our happiness. Thank you for watching, and may God bless you.